Good morning. I went to sleep with my hair wet, so it's all over the place. But let's go to a early morning action and talk about why banks should stop funding fossil fuels.
In February, I was getting up at annoyingly early hours to bike to Midtown and stand outside of the headquarters of JP Morgan Chase Bank.
I don't think Darcy appreciates me being up so early.
Why? Because JP Morgan Chase is the top bank funder of climate change. They've invested $268 billion into oil, gas, and coal companies since the Paris Climate Agreement in 2016.
Morning, skunk. Oh, bye.
To avoid catastrophic global warming, fossil fuel production has to stop. And without insurance and funding, fossil fuel projects can't keep going. Stop the Money Pipeline is a coalition of over 90 organizations that demands banks, asset managers, insurance companies, and institutional investors stop funding, insuring, and investing in climate destruction. Primarily, that means targeting 3 institutions: JP Morgan Chase, Liberty Mutual, and BlackRock.
It seemed like the real problem, if you want to get off fossil fuels, is the fossil fuel companies, and the problem behind them, of course, is the people who are financing them. The strategy is that if JP Morgan Chase can be persuaded to move out of fossil fuel investments and into more renewable energy, that other banks will follow suit.
Stop the Money Pipeline's website puts it pretty concisely. If we stop the flow of money, we can stop the flow of oil.
What have you done to her atmosphere?
Actions like these were ramping up all over the US, holding wealthy financiers to account and speaking to customers of Chase banks about moving their money elsewhere.
We were every Saturday appearing in front of Chase branches around the city, not with the expectation that everybody's going to tear up their credit card, but with the idea that, like, Chase has your money, Chase uses it to fund fossil fuel companies. Fossil fuel companies are killing our planet. Put your money someplace else.
And it was working. Protests outside of BlackRock's New York City headquarters helped push the company to declare a new climate-focused strategy. Chase said that they would end funding for coal and Arctic oil and gas projects. But these commitments are still a lot of talk and not so much action. Their policies are full of loopholes and still allow for funding of destructive oil and gas projects.
What is an entity like BlackRock going to do? Are they going to talk a big game, but then do the same old? Or are they actually going to force these companies to take climate action? The devil's in the details, of course, here. What they're saying is very different from what they're actually doing.
Still, the statements are encouraging, and organizers of Stop the Money Pipeline were prepared to keep showing up, being loud, and making sure these companies understood the social and environmental consequences of their actions.
We had quite a lot of momentum around the climate strikes, around the Green New Deal concept, around fights both at the local, state, federal, corporate level, internationally, activists starting to get out there and press corporations and politicians to do the right thing.
Everything was building up to a massive climate strike and divestment action on Earth Day's 50th anniversary.
The Earth Week NYC group was planning 3 days of action: strike, divest, and vote, with the goal of bringing out hundreds of thousands of people to push for a just transition and a Green New Deal.
Then, as I'm sure you're aware, this happened.
The coronavirus is highly contagious virus.
There'll be good days and bad days.
We don't know how many people have been infected.
Earth Day is about collective action, but obviously getting out in the streets in large numbers is out of the question today. There is a lot that cannot be done right now, but that doesn't mean nothing can be done. I mean, if we look at the fossil fuel industry, they aren't taking a break. They're working overtime to roll back emissions protections and health and safety laws, all the while asking and looking for bailouts from the government. I was gonna name a few examples, but the number has already grown so large that Drilled News has built an interactive tracker to show all the ways governments and industry are taking advantage of this pandemic to line their pockets and pollute.
You know, 1%ers like the billionaires who are running companies like JP Morgan Chase and BlackRock, they can sit in their mansions and ride out this crisis while low-income people service their needs. They know that they're profiting off of people's misery, and it's disgusting. They're making enormous amounts of money off of human misery, and they need to change right now. And that's what Earth Day Live is going to be about. It's going to be telling people like the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, and the JP Morgan Chase CEO, Jamie Dimon, that they need to clean up their disgusting acts.
So what was going to be a massive in-person action is going online. Stop the Money Pipeline is arranging a social media swarm. The idea is to recreate the same sense of unity and collective force as an on-the-street strike or march, an avalanche of tweets at JP Morgan Chase, Liberty Mutual, and BlackRock. The more tweets, the more people are likely to hear about the campaign, and hopefully, the more likely the investors pay attention. If you want to get involved, you can follow the links below to watch the live streams and get assets to tweet and post about stopping the financial backers of the climate crisis.
The digital strike will have a huge impact and shift the needle on climate justice in this country. To join us, sign up at earthweeknyc.com. There are handy toolkits to get involved, more detailed information, and a full set of demands.
I've talked about the value and effectiveness and shortcomings of in-person actions and protests before on this channel, but today we've got to use the tools we have. And this kind of sucks because online access isn't the right it should be. Online actions leave out a lot of people. And millions of people are suffering from a pandemic that, like climate change, isn't impacting all of us equally. And it's hard sometimes to imagine online actions transforming into a tangible reality. But the climate crisis will still be here tomorrow, next week, next year, and I don't want to see all the momentum the climate movement built be stolen by greedy corporations taking advantage of a disease that is killing thousands. So I'm going to keep putting the pressure on. I hope you'll join me.